What's up, and War Rapport family? We're back for another great edition of Facts or Nah. This week, y'all know what it is. It's the Deep South's oldest rivalry, so this is Georgia Edition. Fellas, are we ready to do this?
Yes, sir.
All right, well, let's kick it off like this. Facts or Nah, Auburn rushes for at least 150 yards this game against Georgia. What are we thinking?
I'm gonna say nah here. And if we had a healthy tank coupled with Jarquez and Shivers, I would feel better about this one. But as we've discussed pretty much for the whole week, we don't think the tank is 100%. And I think having Hunter and Shivers, while that's better than nothing, I think that Georgia's run defense has just been amazing. They rank in the top 10 in most defensive statistical categories, and I think they'll key in on those guys. And while I think Jarquez will make something out of nothing, I don't think that will amount to 150 yards of rushing on the ground. So I'm going to go nah reluctantly here.
I'm going to say nah as well, but I don't think it's because we won't actually rush for over 150. I think we're going to have a couple of QB sacks that take that grand total down under the 150 mark. We've got to be able to run the ball. We've got multiple running backs to get that done with, including on some sweeps. I expect Shivers to get some special action. We've seen Jarquez Hunter getting some tosses. I expect Bobo to get our running backs the ball in a multitude of ways, and I do think that will take us over 150, but the type of pressure that Georgia can bring, those sacks will get us under the 150 mark. So, nah.
I'm actually going to go facts on this one, and let me tell you why. I think the difference in this game is going to be the legs of Bo Nix, right? I just think that adds an element. If we are going to be willing to allow Bo Nix to be a runner in this game, he rushed for 70 some yards in the last game. He was just a willing runner in this game, and more design runs, more RPO style stuff for Bo Nix. If they're able to do that, I do think we get a good opportunity. And Mike Bobo has seemed to have Georgia's number the last couple of years. If you recall those South Carolina years, he has played well, specifically in getting the running backs involved in the game against Georgia. I think we can continue that trend just because Auburn has been prolific in the run game. Now, I don't know how much above 150 we get, but I do think that we can eclipse the 150-yard mark, which would be the first time this season Georgia has surrendered that many yards on the ground. So I'm going facts.
All right, fellas. Facts or nah? Neither team scores over 30 points in this game.
I'm going facts on this one. Auburn's offense is still a work in progress as we're trying to work out our identity. We saw a different type of offense with Bo being able to utilize his athleticism, and I'm not sure to what degree that works. And I think this is a game that's going to be won in the trenches. Both teams are really good at stopping the run. And I think the run is what makes both offenses go. And I think when you have two good teams that can stop the run and dare you to beat them through the air, and again, as I mentioned, JT Daniels is questionable for this game. So your best passer may even be out for Georgia. So I think that while there'll be some scoring in this game, I don't think either team gets over 30 or even 230. This will be a defensive battle, in my opinion. And I think that gives Auburn the best chance at trying to win this game. This will not be they will not win if it's a shootout. So I'm rooting for a close, ugly defensive battle. So I'm going facts.
I'm going to take facts on this one as well. And this is more the fan in me than the realist in me saying this, because as C-Dub just alluded to, we need this game to be ugly and we need it to be a low scoring affair in order for us to be able to be competitive in this. So our defense is going to have to be the bend but don't break defense that they've been thus far, and maybe even capitalize on some opportunities that we've had in previous games to get turnovers to actually get them this game in order to keep Georgia's offense at bay and allow our defense to have a little bit more rest, right? Like get them off of the field early, get our offense out there, and hopefully lean on the run game to prolong some drives. So I'm going to go facts on this one. Again, that's more hopeful than it is analytical, because there's no analysis that says that any of that's true. But yeah, facts.
I'm going to say facts as well. Neither one of these offenses have been clicking and on all cylinders or lighting it up. I know we had some success early against some overpowered teams, but since we've gone to Penn State, we have not scored more than 24 points. We did against Georgia State, excuse me, but it took a long time for us to get there last minute. So I'm not encouraged by our ability to all of a sudden flip that switch against a defense this good. We can score double-digit points, and believe me, that's a compliment against this defense. What can we hold Georgia to? Georgia hasn't been lighting the world on fire. They've been capitalizing off the defense, giving them short fields, giving them turnovers, scoring points with that defense. If there's anybody that cracks 30, it would be a bad day for Auburn, because that means that defense ate our lunch, and we don't want that. So I am going to believe with my heart that we don't make those mistakes on offense, that our defense holds their offense down, and neither team gets past 30.
All right, guys. Facts or nah? Auburn wins the turnover battle against Georgia. What do we think?
I'm going to say nah on this one, unfortunately. I just think that there's been way too many near misses so far this season for our offense. It's particularly like Bo Nix has just been on a run of not throwing interceptions. And to be frank, he should have thrown a few already this season. And on the other side of that, I mentioned in the last response, our defense has been right there close to it, but we just haven't capitalized on that. Hopefully we'll be able to do that this game. Georgia has given up the ball a few times and turned the ball over this season. I just think that in a defensive battle like this, I hate to say this, the better defense is going to be more opportunistic, and Georgia is the better defense in this case. I'm just hoping that if we turn the ball over, it's like he's throwing it for like 50 yards down the field, down to the 20 or something, 10-5, and then like they run out of bounds and not like a pick six or something like that. Or nothing in the red zone where we're about to score, because then I'd just be mad. So I'm going to say no, we're going to lose the turnover battle here, but I'm hoping that those turnovers do not turn into easy short fields for Georgia. So nah.
Fellas, I am going to say nah, we're not going to win the turnover battle, man. Bo Nix has put like 4 passes on defenders' hands so far this season. Fortunately for us, those defenders weren't very good. But this is by far the best defensive line we are going to play all season. And not only will Bo Nix be under duress, the running backs will be under duress. The wide receivers will be under duress and more closely covered than they've ever been. Somebody's going to give up the ball. And it's not like Georgia can give up the ball. Our defense is good, and they've been getting better every game. However, the pressure they're going to put on our offensive line is going to put both running backs and quarterback in very precarious positions. And I think this is the time we finally lose that turnover battle. So I'm going to say nah.
As much as I want a sunshine pump, I'm going to have to say nah here, because I was the guy who also said nah that we wouldn't successfully rush for 150 yards. So if we're not able to really run the ball, it puts a lot of pressure on us on the passing game to try to make something of this offense. And I don't like how that sets up against one of the best defenses in the country. Georgia ranks again in the top 10 in most defensive statistical categories. And while I think Stetson Bennett IV has a tendency, assuming he's the starter this weekend, he has a tendency to try to force some plays where he probably shouldn't, which would bode well for us, seeing as though we're good against the run. I think the question is, what do we do against their defense? And if they're actually stopping us in the run game, or at least slowing us down significantly, that puts a lot of pressure on Bo Nix in the passing game to make something, which will create a lot of opportunities for the Georgia defense to get turnovers from us. So I don't like how this sets up. I'm going to reluctantly say nah. I'm hoping I'm so wrong here. I have nothing to suggest that we would win this turnover battle, so I'm going to say nah.
All right, we've reached that time again in the show where we come to the fan question of the week. This week we did something a little bit different. Normally we solicit those questions on Twitter. Keep tweeting those at us, but we went to Instagram to go farm a few of these questions this time. And we got some really great responses. So if you're on IG, thank you so much. Hit us up at the War Report and send those responses on over whenever we drop the next one asking for them. In this case, we got one right here, and it is from @coach_Pauga. That's Pauga. I don't like the fact that it ends in UGA, but we'll let that slide because maybe that's just your name. Anyway, he says, facts or nah, Hunter will get more touches than Tank. What are we thinking about that one?
Actually, I say nah. Hunter doesn't get more touches because the key word here is touches. And I think that if you combine rushes with receptions, or at least attempted receptions, Tank catching the ball, or hopefully he catches them and doesn't drop them, then he will get more touches than Hunter will. Now, I still think Hunter gets the bulk of the carries later in the game, and I think that's a good idea. He's fresh. He's a really strong dude. He wouldn't have worn down from a long game, and that's the best time to hit, hopefully, a tired defense with your best shot. But I still think it's going to be Tank early and often, and he's the better pass blocker. So I don't see Jarquez Hunter getting more snaps than Tank. So I'm going to say no.
I'm going to say nah here as well. And Tank actually got more carries last game against LSU than Jarquez did. So I think moving forward, Tank is still going to be a big part of the game plan. I don't see Coach Harsin resting Tank. I don't think he's out with an injury significant enough for you to just completely sideline him. So I fully expect him to be a part of the game plan in some capacity, which means he will be getting more touches than Jarquez Hunter. And you got to keep in mind that Shivers will be in there in some capacity, especially on passing downs, whether it's pass pro or slipping out of the backfield like he did against LSU. So I think between those two, it limits Jarquez Hunter's carries. I think when it's all said and done, Tank will have more carries or more touches than Jarquez Hunter. So I'm going to go nah here.
I'm going to go 3 for 3 here and say nah. I just think the strategy right now for this coaching staff has been to lean on Tank early, let Jarquez be your closer. When we need that big home run, like C said, when the defense is worn down and you want to try to get something big, you're going to give it to the guy that they least expect for whatever reason, because he's proven over and over again he can do it late in the game to get you something big. Even if Tank is hurt, I do think that he's going to get his touches early. They're going to try to get him involved in a myriad of ways. You saw in the LSU game, they even gave him a speed sweep, a couple of just quick outright routes that they were running with him. They're putting him more involved in the pass game just in general. So because he's going to be on the field more and Shivers is back and healthy, that's going to take some of those snaps away that Jarquez could be on the field. So overall, I don't think Jarquez Hunter has more touches. I do still think that Jarquez Hunter ends up being the rusher with the most yards from the running back room, though. So I do think he's going to have more yards, but I think he's going to do it on less carries and touches. So I'm going to go nah on this one. All right, War Report family, that's it. Another great edition of Facts or Nah. We thank all of you who have continued to come through and give us these great questions. You had some really great questions this time. It was hard for us to pick the fan question this week. Keep submitting those. You know how you need to be getting in touch with us, though, right? You've seen this enough, but we're just going to reiterate it once again. You need to be hitting us up on Instagram or Twitter. We are the War Report. Hashtag Facts or Nah when you're giving us those so that we can find those really easily. Outside of that, social media is the place that you can get in touch with us. We are the War Report. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TW Report on TikTok. That's it. We're signing off until the next time. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.